It's time for our demonstration. We're going to go to Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Tres Lennep is with us, and he's going to do a demonstration for us today. And I'm trying to find him up. He is talking. You got him?
Okay, you got it?
Yeah. All right, Trey, we're on. You're on.
Okay. I've started turning a few of these, but the main thing I wanted to talk about tonight was there's been a lot of really good. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I just switched mics is the reason why I asked. I want to talk about how I hold them and some of the critical things back and forth, because I've seen a lot of different ways of people doing it. And I want to spend about 10 or 15 minutes doing that. Plus I have one tool that I use to put my tenants on that's a little different. The first thing I wound up doing, I take a template, draw it.
Now, it could be a piece of masonite. Doesn't have to be metal.
Could be a piece of masonite. And I have a hole marked in the center of it. Take that to my bandsaw and cut it out. That's the way I start. Now, several people have been doing things differently. Some people have been putting it between centers. The only problem with it, let me shift the camera. The only problem with it, if you put it between centers, is that if you don't line those two centers perfectly, you'll get a wobble on this. You can cut the wobble out, but you lose thickness of your material, especially if you're only starting out with something that's an 1.5 inches. Another group of people I've seen have actually gone through, they have pre-drilled them. Now let me switch. And the chuck I'm using is a little talent chuck with a step jaw on it, and it goes down to 7/8. So I'm using a 1-inch hole. But the problem with this is when you put this on here, and then start spinning it around,
Still got a wobble.
it's got a significant wobble on it. And the problem with it is that wobble is very, very critical, because your hole that you drill for your spindle and the tenet you put on here need to match. If they don't, that will put your spindle and make your wig stand up, crazy instead of being straight. That Johnny Hughes told me one thing that he does that helps reduce that. He puts a cone chuck in his in a center.
Hey, Trey,
Yes.
after you finish this part, I want to stop and suggest something.
Okay. And well, I don't do this, but okay. And that will get rid of most of the wobble and stabilize it better.
Yeah, we're seeing a
Ronnie.
flash, not necessarily a wobble.
Trey,
Yes.
unloosen your chuck.
Okay.
Take the cone off the live center.
Okay.
Turn that piece of wood around after you get the cone off the live center.
Okay.
I only flip mine one time.
Okay. Well, let me go through my process. What I'm showing you is not what I do.
Okay.
Okay. Let me go through the process, and then we can adjust. We can adjust from there.
That's what we're supposed to do.
What I wound up working out and doing. I drill it on the lathe. I don't drill it on a drill press. Okay, now I'm going to use a robust live center, and what I found that I like on it versus the one way, I can adjust how deep that point is. The one way and the others and the Powermatic are all fixed on how deep that point goes, and the point sticks out. So if you're in harder wood, I can put the point back some. In this case, I need to conserve thickness of the wood, so I actually have my point stuck further back. And I'm just going to come up here, put that in the center.
Your hat's in the way, Trey.
But we'll get rid of it. It's an Aussie hat. I just thought I'd wear it for our Aussie friends. So,
All right, Donald, you see that? Did a little something special for you.
yeah, a little something special. This is a kangaroo hat, crushable kangaroo hat from Australia that I got when I was there. Came with a bag.
Oh, I put my Stinson on just for you then.
Cool.
Is it a kangaroo bag?
No, it wasn't.
A kangaroo pouch?
Sure it wasn't a pouch instead of a bag?
Okay, all right. Let's
Now,
go back to the demo.
No, it
On the drive side, all I have is it pushed against the jaws of the chuck.
Yep.
That keeps it straight. So what I'll do with this is I'm gonna cut a tenon. Now my chuck is a dovetail chuck, and I'll cut the tenon there. And this is my tenon cutter. It's a homemade tool, and I ground the end of it at an angle here, and it's also background at an angle there. And what that does, that allows me to cut an inside or outside tenon. So okay. That's my tenon for my top. I do the bottom very similar, except for I'm gonna do an expanding tenon on this one. Oh, well, I guess I do need to tie this down. And using this tool, I can come in here even with the tail line. And this tool allows me to cut those tenons with the live center in place. And it's nothing more than a piece of tool steel that's been sharpened on the end of it. It's an 8-inch piece of tool steel that's 5-quarter tool steel.
And that undercut gives you the relief you want for those jaws to come into.
Yeah, and all my jaws are dovetail. So this side here cuts the expanding. This side here cuts a contraction on it. And as I say, it gives me, I have since it's at an angle, I can get in here with the live center in place.
This will be some 5-quarter tool steel. Somebody in the club will look that up, throw it in the chat in a minute. I know Kim's out there. She's normally pretty quick at that.
I'm stuffing my face. I'm so sorry.
No pressure. No pressure.
Okay. Next step I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the hole.
Now that's the base you're dealing with there.
This is the base. It was just the quickest one I had to grab. This is the base. I've chucked it up again and an expanding chuck on it.
Also known as a mortise.
And I just drill into this point right here. That's the depth I do. This is a 1-inch bit. Now, I'm not going to do this right now, but what I would do from here is I would go ahead and finish this out. I would hollow this down here on both sides, put any decorative things on it, and round it off completely. But for this demo, I'm not doing it. This demo is concentrating on holding.
If you can hold it, you can turn it.
And there's a lot of people that have done demos on the on turning that have done an excellent job. So that's not what I'm trying to do. Okay, this one's the top. And I'm doing almost exactly the same thing, except for its compression instead of expansion. It's seated in there.
Do we have any new turners that need that explained, compression to expansion? Okay, there could be a
Oh.
test later.
Now I have both sides. And this hole lines up with the tenon. It's in alignment with the tenon without me having to do anything special because it was turned with the tenon in place.
So right now your piece is running true.
It runs true. The tenon and the hole run true. So the spindle will sit straight in it.
Mike says he has no problem failing tests. He's got it locked in.
Okay, now I switch back to the other. Again, I'm not going to turn everything, but I come in with, where did I set it? Don't try to catch it with my toe. With my live center. Now, if I just try to put this on this way, I'm gonna have alignment problems. But I have a center mark on here from when I did it before. That allows me to put it back dead center.
And do a test spin before you tighten it, right?
Yep, before I tighten it. Because I've already finished this other side out, if you remember. Now, from here, I can go ahead and do my turning and go ahead and turn it. Cut the shape, pull this back and finish the top of it and everything else, and I'm through with it. On the bottom, I do almost exactly the same thing. In fact, I'm going to chuck it exactly the same way, bringing the tailstock up. That aligns it. Expand into it. And then I'll come back and turn this side here to put an undercut on it. I'll come back, I'll do an initial cut here and then remove this and do my final cut through the center. And that's how I hold it.
And as Trey said, that's one of many techniques to do it.
There's lots of ways of doing it. This way seemed pretty quick and easy to me.
Somebody showed me one the other day on the internet where they used their Longworth type chuck from Ron Brown's Best. And they did squeezings and they turned it all with holding it on the outside and cutting the squeezings on it. And it came out nice. It was just a lot of moving, but maybe they didn't have any other chuck.
Yep.
Hey, Trey,
Yes.
you want to see a different way now?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you have?
That's what we're doing. We're just introducing different ways of doing this.
Okay. Show us a round piece of wood with just a hole in it.
What he just had, right?
This is going to be as close as I get to it because I already have this on the other side.
Okay, that's fine. Now those pin jaws you have right there,
Yep.
open them up all the way. No, take that off. Take that off. Open them up all the way. all the way. Open them up.
Well, for y'all better study. This might be a test item.
I was never good on tests either.
Okay,
Okay, now on your tailstock, put that one-way live center back in there with no cone on the end.
But that's his,
Over one.
not his one way, his other one.
that's
Robust.
all right. There's, okay, I got a one-way in there. Okay,
Now bring up your tailstock, put that piece of wood with the hole in it towards the tailstock, and that pin's gonna line up on that hole that you drilled with your Forstner bit. Put it up against that chuck.
I really ought to use a different chuck, but that's
No,
fine. Okay,
that's fine. At
Yeah.
this point, you're only gonna turn it one time. What I do at this point, I turn it round first. And then
okay,
on the tailstock side is either gonna be the underside of the dome at the top, or it's gonna be the upside of the bottom part.
okay,
So what I do is after I turn it round, I back off that edge towards the live center a half inch. And then I proceed to cut out with that little #1 hollower that Easy Wood Tools has. I cut from that half inch from the outside, and I make a cove all the way over to the live center, and I'm leaving that about maybe 3/8 of an inch thick where
so
the,
you're coming in here and cutting your recess in here. And you
right,
said you use the easy wood, so you're using the, just a carbide scraper?
right. And then after I cut that out, then I take a little narrow scraper, round nose scraper, and I smooth it out.
Okay,
At that point, I sand whatever I'm a sand to. I've been sanding these to 600. I sand that and get that all smooth. At this
You're-
point,
you're just hand sanding, I assume then, so not power sanding, because you can't get a power sander in there.
right, yeah, it's on the lathe and you're holding the sandpaper in your hand, sanding it.
Okay,
After you finish that, back off your tailstock, turn it around, and put it on those pin jaws, and you're either doing the top of the dome or you're doing the underside of the bottom. And you do the same thing, and you completely finish. You only flip it one time.
now, the problem is, okay, I've got this, and this side's finished, and I turn it back around here and do the pin jaw to do the bottom. What keeps my alignment straight on that, on this on the bottom?
It's not going to turn exactly true, but it don't make any difference. You're not going to see it, because what you're going to do, either the dome, after you turn the dome, or after you turn the bottom, it straightens itself out and you don't see anything.
Well, the dome, I understand, because if it's crooked, it won't make any difference. You can't see it.
Hey, Ronnie, you want to do a demo next week?
But the bottom, when I come here on the pin jaw on the bottom, if it's crooked a little bit, it may make the whole thing stand a little crooked.
No, it don't.
Hey, Ronnie,
it's-
how about doing a demo next week?
I don't have
Love
all
it.
the cameras.
I think we can work that out, Ronnie.
Well, that's up to you, but it's what I'm saying. I've seen everybody do it, and what we've heard for years and years, everybody does something different, but we all get to the same finishing point.
Absolutely.
This is just a simple and easy way that you only flip it one time. There's no tenons, there's no recesses or nothing. The secret is you drill your hole 1 inch, but you only drill it 3/4 of an inch deep. If you drill it any deeper than 3/4, well, the wood's gonna bottom out on that live center. And you don't want that to happen.
Hey,
How
Ronnie,
That is because I made that mistake.
hey, Ronnie, what
Yes?
would happen if you chucked up a piece of stock when you flipped it around and put it in the tenon? That would straighten it out.
I didn't catch that.
It's a dead, he's creating a dead man to align it.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
You'll put a piece of stock in your jaws. You turn a piece of stock down to the tendon that you want on your riser. I'm called it riser. And then when you push your piece against that riser, it will automatically align that riser to the face of the piece. Correct, Neil?
You're talking about
That's
jam chuck.
correct, Eddie.
You're talking about
That's my
jam
thought.
chucking it, right?
Jam chuck. I
Yes.
call it a dead man, jam chuck, pardon me.
The only problem with the jam chuck is I'm not sure it's firm enough to hold this when you're turning it. Because you have to finish turning the top and bottom.
What if it was a taper?
Here's another idea. Once you flip it to way it is now, if you're worried about it not running true, put that cone back on the tailstock and bring that cone up. And
The cone would center it
Right.
if you put the cone on and do it.
And you only need the cone to align it. Once you have it tight, it's not going to move on you.
There is one significant difference. I don't own a scraper, an easy wood scraper. I don't own any of those.
That's not a problem.
I did my turning with, I did my turning with a ball gouge.
I have a good friend of mine that sells carbide tools.
No, but look, I sell as many as anybody else. They're not that critical. I do, like Trey does, I do my best work with pure carbon tools. I love them. And when you said you could use this scraper, I got a dozen different shapes of scrapers. When people throw tools away, I'm glad to grab them because I'll modify them into something like that little rig that Trey showed us about doing that tenon. Mine is done a little bit different, but guess what, Trey? When I'm back out in the shop again, I'm making that.
Yeah, you can take any square tool and make it, a beading parting tool, whatever. You can take any of that and make that. And it's great for putting that tenon on and still having your tailstock in place. Even on bowls, you're doing bowls and everything else, it's the same way.
It works.
Hello, could I say something?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Albert.
We hear you.
All right, this is Dave from Michigan. I have been watching here and I feel that I have an idea. Maybe if you take and put a screw chuck on your part, that will align it, be squared to your chuck. And then you finish the bottom side. And then when you drill your hole for your spindle, don't drill it to an inch, you drill it to a 5/8. I drilled it to a 5/8 and you just take and drill it down through there, and then you put it on the jam chuck on the other side to finish off the other side. But I don't have to do that because the fact is that on the bottom, later on, I might have to put it into on the bottom part. Well, I'll show you. Like the bottom here, I have a recess that I had put on the bottom for another chuck to expand, to hold the back, to finish, so you can finish the other part. You understand? On both sides, you don't have to flip-flop it so many times. You don't have to realign yourself if you have this in your chuck.
It's a nice
So-
idea.
So you're putting that the same place I put the 1-inch hole in.
Yeah, but you don't have to drill it to a 1 inch. You can drill it to a 5/8, and you have a regular 5/8 drill, or you can put it into a jam chuck later on if you have to for the tops to do the dome. And then you can still put the dome right here on this chuck here to reline it.
That's a great idea. Here's the beauty of what we're doing here, folks. We're throwing so many different options on doing this that no matter what tools you have, no matter how you go about this, we're giving you options. So if you don't have that chuck with the spigot jaws, or that chuck with the oversized jaws, or that cone face, or that tailstock that doesn't have a pin in it, or, we're giving you the options of what you do have to make this work. And guess what? That's why this club came from, to get those options and spread them around. Because right now watching it, I know how to hold those pieces. I know how to cut those pieces. I've got gizmos and gadgets and wooden jaws that'll hold stuff. And because I did bracelets and all. And I kind of go back to what I was doing. So if I go back to what I was doing, it works out for me. Hey, straight up. But if I hear your options and understand how you would go about this, then I might change my methods. That's what you got to keep in mind here. It's no set rule. Like you got to use Bob's tool to do this, or you got to use this to do that. You don't gotta, right? Remember? Alrighty.
Now, the only advantage of the robust live center is that because I'm starting with 1.5 inch material, I don't want to lose too much more on the top. Bottom's not a problem with the recess. The one-way live center, any live center will work on it. You just lose a little bit more material thickness of the top, and that's
Well,
it.
you know what? If you use
No big deal.
if you use a shim face on that between the screw part and the bearing part, if you use and you go get an ASE washer at the auto parts store to give you a shim face, that would hold that out a little bit to accomplish what you're accomplishing with the other one. I got nothing against Robust's tools, but hey, remember, got to stay, everybody.
I use a washer too.
Yeah.
Can I add something to that?
No, sir, you can't, John.
All right, I'll just keep my mouth shut then.
What do you have, John?
I put a small waste block on what's going to be the bottom, because you've got to finish the bottom off a little bit anyway to make it a little bit recessed in the middle, and you don't waste any depth on it at all. Glue a small waste block on it.
And when you flip it around, you eliminate the waste block and develop your bottom.
Yes.
See?
Cut your
Another
tenon in
idea.
it, cut a tenon on it, on the waste block for your jaws to compress on it. I drill a hole in the top side or the bottom side of the lid on the top, and the other side I put a waste block on it.
Great. Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Worked great.
More and more ideas coming your way.
Yeah.
It's 1/4 the hour. Yes, sir, John. No, I'm sorry.
I said it worked really good, and I don't have a lot of special tools to do it. And I just thought of that, a waste block on there, and you don't waste any thickness on them.
Special tools are really not critical. It's
No.
learning how to use your tools that's
Yeah.
critical.
Yeah.